Good evening and welcome to my channel. This is Dr. Cecily Cornish. Now, on my last video, I said that I would promise to talk about the Green Deal, the infrastructure, and what Biden's vision is. And I just want to put my input in it because I think it's very vital for the future of America. Now, I just want to start with the mention. I've been hearing Biden and Harris administration talk about, as press secretary, talk about the infrastructure, about building the railways. Even the Republicans was talking about the Green Deal and the green jobs. Now, this is what I want to say. Our infrastructures are, especially the roadways, are over 50 years old, and they're crumbling. Now, they're in either need a repair, replacement, or just need to be rebuilt all over again. Not only that, our power grids are old. We see what happened in Texas, how the snowstorms, our climate changes so dramatically. It's nothing to have. Who would have thought that there would have been a snowstorm in Texas of all places? And the power grid, it taxed the power grid so greatly that people were frozen, and people actually died from trying to stay warm. So we see that, with the mudslides, the tornadoes, the fires, our climate change, things are different now. We have more tornadoes. The Sandy storm in New York, we just go on with the devastation and the different storms and the floods and the fires that have caused so much devastation on our climate. Now, I understand that a lot of cars, I think Tesla is making their electric cars. One company, I don't know their name, but they were saying that they want an electric car. Every family, they have an electric car. I think that's one of the ways to cut down on the carbon emissions, but we got to do more. We got to do more. So as I'm listening to the Biden-Harris administration, I'm so glad that they're in office, but drastic times calls for drastic measures. Now, I noticed in the a look at in Wuhan, China, or was somewhere in China in December, I was seeing this hospital in China. They built this over 1,000 bed hospital in China in less than a week. Now, understand we're not the Communist Party, and the Communist Party own railways and roadways, and they can just build things around your house and through your house. I get that. I understand we have to have legislation and policy and things like that. But the thing is, this is critical. Our climate change is dwindling. Our air is poor. Our waterways are poor. We're not controlling our garbage, how we do waste, how we do even our water conservation. So as I begin to look at the jobs that they were offering, and I thought about the different jobs that would be needed, we really need to, first of all, we don't need to take what they say, the old folks say, take the cart before the horse. Now, you want to supply all these jobs. And when we talk about jobs, I want to say this. We have enough roadways. Most of our material consumption comes from building roadways more than it does skyscrapers. And they said our roadways in terms of, and I think this is globally, we can wrap our roadways around the earth 165 times. Now, when we talk about our infrastructure, it's more than our roadways, but it's the roadways and expressways that generate the most carbon emissions. So when we look at our infrastructure is just not the roadways, the airways, but it's also our power grids. Look at what happened in Texas. It's our dams, it's our bridges, our air traffic control, our electric grids, as I mentioned. So when we look at the infrastructure, this is really and not to mention the railroads and the railways. We're so behind in terms of technology. I mean, when you look at the airports in China and Asia, they look like space age airports. Our airports look like the Marlboro Man on the horse when I used to come out of Chicago going back into Detroit. So we really need to speed up. We're behind. We say that America is great, You want to make America great, but when was America ever great? We don't even have safe roadways. Now we can get all these nice electric cars. I think the incentive to buy electric cars is a good way to start, but we're so behind. There should be more incentives for electric cars. There should be more incentives to put. Why are we putting solar panels on our houses? Why are we building houses like we're building it the same way? I'm looking at the houses. I visit some homes, new homes that built the same way they built when my mom and I built our house in the late 80s. They're the same. It's no difference. I mean, we got what you call it, energy efficient appliances, but we need to go further in terms of and I want to mention two things. It's called net zero. And net zero is a way of net zero, I think, is one program. And let me tell you what net zero means. What it does is that you use as much energy as you want during off-peak times. And then once you and then the city or government, whatever, will give you a hike bonus for generating electricity during the peak times, so you can meet your requirements. And that's what a net zero energy is. So actually, it could pay you for generating electricity during off-peak times. So we need more things like solar panels on homes. We need to rebuild our homes. The net zero thing this is not just about how we do electricity. It's about water conservation. It's about using rainwater. It's about building houses and commercial buildings, which I'm going to get to another organization called LEED. And that means Leadership in Energy and Environmental Design. And if you look, you can Google it. In fact, Mercedes-Benz down here in Atlanta was built on the LEED principle. And the principles is to reduce the carbon emissions and the effect that it has on our environment. Conserve energy, conserve our waterways, to really build in the sense of building homes and commercial sites. You really want to build in a way that you're building with the environment, not against the environment. In other words, you want to leave some trees there. You want to leave some animals there. You want to leave some natural habitat there, some natural grass, whatever grows there, the native species of grass or shrubs, you want to leave those there. So the net zero and the LEED, which is our Leadership in Energy and Environment Design, is about reducing our carbon imprint on our environment. It's about conserving energy. It's about reducing your electric bill. It's about reducing, because I really think the way that we're going, just look at what happened in Texas. I'm sure the mortgages, the electrical bill outdid people's mortgages and people's rents. People were getting like $25,000 in their bills, and $2,000 and $18,000, whatever it was. I could foresee, as the population grows, we can't continue to make power grids like they do in Texas or in our United States, and expect us to be viable and be competitors, because this is the whole thing. America wants to be great. We have to be viable in our infrastructure. What is the point of, like I said, don't take the cart before the horse? What's the point? Okay, we do need to have electrical cars to cut down on that would help. But what's the use of having electrical cars and having the tax incentives and encouraging people to buy solar homes and solar panels and put solar roofs on their houses when everything's got these sinkholes? When big sinkholes are happening everywhere around the world, especially in America. So what's the point of having electric cars if our infrastructures are not right? Now, let me get to this. Now, there are a lot of green jobs. There's a lot of green jobs. I want to mention this, because when we think about our infrastructure, let's think further than roadways and expressways. Let's think about power grids. Let's think about dams. Let's think about our skyscrapers, our high-speed rails, our railways. Let's think about our airport traffic controllers. So our grid When we think about infrastructure, that's a huge undertaking. And then when we look at it, they did a analysis this year, and I think they did one in 2015, and it still came up that our infrastructures were what got a D plus. Now, when I looked at China, like I said, why is China so far ahead of us? And when we're thinking of, let me see if I can get this, I forgot what the program was, but under Trump's administration, a man came up. I don't know what his name was, but he came up with he had and I wouldn't call it a playbook, but he had a list of different projects. I think it was 150 projects. It netted, thousands and thousands of jobs. But he talked about different things, projects, which should have been on there was Flint. Flint should have been on there. Flint should have been on there. Flint, Michigan, because we talk about the waterways. And they talk about, so when we talk about renewable energy, now this is some of the places that was on this. Now this was like I said, I don't call it a playbook, but it came under the, remember Trump's administration, he had promised to repair and replace and revitalize the infrastructure. Of course, that was ditched. But there, like I said, I wouldn't call it a playbook, but there was something, I don't know the name of it, but in it was about bridges, highways, power grids, railroads, electrical power grids, dams, our wind energy, our subways. So it's just go bigger than highways and just think about it. Our whole America infrastructure is over 50 years old. In other words, they're crumbling. So this is some of the things that they had under. Like I said, I won't call it a playbook, but I would just say there was listed. This was like millions of jobs. This would really pull the people out of poverty if these projects were addressed. Okay, they had the National Research Lab. They had the locks and dams. I think that's in Detroit. They had the I-95 critical highway repairs. They had the Mississippi River. They had the next generation air traffic control. They had the Project Clean something dams in South Carolina. They had the hydroelectrical plants. They had the Texas Central Railroad. They had the Cotton Battle Line. They had the Trans-West Express. They had the Savannah Harbor Expression. They had Atlantic Coast something. So these were the Peace Bridge, the Gordie Howe International, the Maryland Purple Line, the D.C. Union Station. So all these places they had in here. I think it was 157 projects. Now, when we talk about these projects, when we're talking about Green Deal, when we're talking about green jobs, remember, we need a manpower to do these jobs. We need a ready force, technical skills to do these jobs. So with that being said, America is so behind in the education. That's why these loans need to be forgiven. They need to go and do it about like they did the stimulus checks. If you make so much money, you below this amount, then all your loans should be forgiven. If you're above this amount, then maybe your partial will be forgiven, or you can go on the payment plan, or after so many years of working in the health field, or the really what you call it, the really what we need skills at, which is the health care and the engineering and the construction. We need to have skilled jobs. We need to revamp our education system. That's just number one. We need to overhaul that before we even get into talking about green jobs. Because if we're going to take, China took 1 week, less than 1 week, to do 100+ bid for the COVID-19. I mean, we could learn. They may be a communist country, but they're so ahead of us in technology. So if we want to be great and competitive and viable and then to save the environment for our next generations. I hear the Republicans saying, oh, we need to not put this debt on. First of all, you need to get rid of all that old debt that we can. Because why should we call America great if you're born into debt? Look up the year you were born, and see if you were not in debt. Don't call this America great when people are born into debt. When you're born into debt, the Bible always called it slavery. That's why we need a 50-year jubilee for all the people. I mean the people here in America, to start afresh, to get that $15 an hour, to start making viable, sustainable jobs. We need jobs we need more engineers. We need electricians. We need environmentalists. We need sustainable organizations. Or organizers. We need people that's going to deal with water conservation, going to deal with rain conservation, going to deal with solar and wind energy. And yes, we need the fossil fuels, but we need a way. If a storm come along and shut it down, we need a way. We need more lead. We need more LEDs. We need more energy with the LEDs. If something comes like a weather or a storm or tornado and just wipes out the electric grid, we need a backup. And I think with that being said, we need to start focusing on these jobs. Jobs first. Let's start educating and putting skills into this next generation. Put some skills in them to build bridges. We need a 3D with Revit. We need to teach them how to do 3D architectural engineer and 3D drawings. We need more of that. We're doing it in the gaming system, but we're not doing it where we can apply it to everyday jobs and the jobs of having electricians and having engineers and having people that can do water conservation and people that can save the soil and replenish the soil. We need all those people working in an environment. We need all those people that are working together to save not only our waterways, our roadways, but our climate change. And to do that, we need a skilled, labor-ready force. And I think that's where Biden may have a problem. If he goes forward and try to start building a railway and you don't have enough people, then how long is it going to take to do that railway? We don't have another 10 years. The infrastructure is crumbling now. Critical times calls for critical answers and critical solutions. We need a skill force in education. We need to go and overhaul some of these degrees, and some of these degrees need to be put down to make them hands-on skills. Teach people how to do construction. Teach people how to do these cranes, how to ride the cranes, crane operators. We need them all. We need electricians. We need every construction workers. We need to put skills into people's hand to this next generation, and we need to do it quick. We don't need to do no 4 years. We need to do a 2-year, call it operation. I don't care what you want to call it, a fast track. But get it where we can get these skills in these people's hands so we'll be able to do these infrastructures. That's a lot of infrastructures. America has a lot of infrastructure. And where our climate is going, the storms, the rains, here in Cobb County, we're constantly having brownouts. We're constantly having blackouts. I can go to ATM machine and sometimes it don't even work. The electrical street light doesn't work. I'm telling you, America is behind, and we need to be viable. We talk about our future generation. We need to get rid of this debt, first of all. We don't need to have our children born into debt. We're born into a debtor society. So you tell me, when was America great? It was never great. I know for my people, and not for the American people, if we're going from year to year with national debt. It's nothing but a note where we're changing one service for another service. So I'm saying that we hopefully Biden and President Biden and Vice President Harris will possibly even see this video and understand we need to have skilled jobs first before we even talk about doing this infrastructure. Unless we're talking about another 50 years to finish the infrastructure. Okay, we got it's not even a half a mile. They've been working on for 2 years. 2 years. It's not even a half a mile of a bridge. Maybe altogether that bridge and then the other, maybe Maybe it's even a mile. And they've been working on them for 2 years. So we're going to have to change our whole mentality. We're going to have more business tax incentives, more incentives for buying electrical cars, more incentives for getting solar and wind energy. We need more incentives for businesses, and we definitely need to have these. Get the civil engineers, get the Army civil engineers, get these people and start putting money in their hands to start training the next generations to build this infrastructure. We are so behind. Our infrastructure 50 years old, crumbling. We're not going to ever be competitive. China and Asia and Japan, they're leaving us. They're leaving us in the dust. So with that being said, instead of, and I know a lot of this has to do with the 1%, 3%ers, whatever. We need to start having a workforce so we can have a future, so we can be sustainable, so we can be globally competitive. So right now, just, I hope this video helped you. It's just my passion. I did my paper on sustainability in the workplace, and how I just found out a lot of people are just they're like, when it comes to recycling, that's probably all they're doing, recycling, or instead of getting little plastic bottles, they're getting big bottles. But whatever it needs, we need something aggressive, because we're in aggressive times right now. We're in critical times, and America has to play catch up. So we have to start with these skilled jobs, and we have to do it quicker than 4 years. It has to be put down to a year. It has to be accelerated. We got to invest in our next generation. We got to invest in these small businesses that's doing these training. We got to invest in renewable energy. We have to do it if we want to have a next generation that's going to be viable, competitive, and sustainable. So this is Dr. Cecily Cornish. And just thank you for visiting my channel. Please like and subscribe, and I'll see you the next time. God bless America, and God bless our troops.